Alyssa Farah is with us, White House Communications Director. Alyssa, thank you. Welcome to the program. It's great to see you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Were you in the room for at least part of that conversation when the president was taping the interview?
I was for part of the conversation, and what your viewers should know is the president gave 60 Minutes more than 45 minutes of his time. My colleague tried to wrap several times. Look, he's the president of the United States. His time is incredibly valuable, and 60 Minutes wasn't happy with the fact that we weren't willing to give them more. I'd also note it's a 60-minute program, and they still needed to talk to Vice President Mike Pence, the Biden campaign, and Senator Harris. So they have more than enough to work with, and we just didn't think it was a good faith interview, so we're open to considering releasing our version of it.
Okay, was Leslie Stahl hostile?
She was absolutely hostile, and listen, I've got respect for her as a journalist, but this was not how she would question Joe Biden. I think your viewers would be very interested to see the difference when it airs this weekend of the type of questions he gets asked versus how the president is just berated by many journalists.
But
Alyssa,
listen, hold on. When we watch 60 Minutes, if we do, on Sunday night, we get the edited version. It'll be down to what, 12, 15 minutes out of 45 minutes. How do we know that we're getting an accurate view of the entire interview? I honestly think the president has to release the full tape.
Well, absolutely, and that's the concern with any sort of, sliced and diced interviews. And we, of course, recorded the entirety ourselves. We're open, as the president said, to considering releasing it, and we may just need to do that because, listen, this president does not shy away from media coverage. After he did that interview, he sat down for an hour on camera with Eric Bolling to talk to Sinclair affiliates. Then he did an hour-and-a-half-long campaign rally open to the press. We're not afraid of answering tough questions. President Trump certainly isn't, but we want to make sure they're accurately represented by the media.
Have you got any idea, through the grapevine, so to speak, which questions were asked of Joe Biden? Because he was also interviewed by 60 Minutes, and his interview will appear edited on Sunday night. Did the grapevine tell you anything about which questions were asked of him?
We've been made aware of some interesting softball questions. I'll be curious if they, like others in the media, asked about his ice cream order as opposed to, whether or not he'll stack the Supreme Court, whether or not he's for fracking in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. I think we can anticipate.
What about Hunter Biden? What about China? I mean, if you don't ask him about that, that's not a real interview a week before the election.
Absolutely. And, we've got another presidential debate coming up. We hope that Kristen Welker with NBC is going to ask some tough questions of Joe Biden. But if she does it, the president's ready to pose those questions directly to him because the American people deserve to know, especially on this Hunter issue, was there pay for play? Are there concerns about being, beholden to China in some way, one of the U.S.'s biggest adversaries or competitors? We need answers to these questions.
I think you might get added support for Mr. Trump, because it's so obviously the deck is stacked against him, whether it's the mainstream media, whether it's social media, whether it's the Democrats, doesn't matter, totally stacked against the man. We've lost free debate and we've lost free speech. I think that's an issue very much in Mr. Trump's favor.
Oh, I completely agree, Stu. I mean, the fact that he sat down for these openly hostile interviews, he had, Savannah Guthrie last week, this 60 Minutes interview, he's not shying away from tough questions, but I do think the public sees how different he's treated by the media than his Democrat opponent.
Alyssa, I know you're busy, but we appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Sure thing. See you again soon. Thanks.